Welcome to Creative Pages with Catherine. I'm Catherine. It's time for this month's Thrift Flip Road Trip. Always a little bit of a tongue twister, but so much fun to participate in this challenge. I really would like to thank Kay and Trish, the crafting cousins, and Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs for hosting the road trip. Please check out the description box below this video and you will find the link to the playlist as well as links to our hosts' channels and a lot of other fun information. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I do some of these fun challenges from time to time, along with some scrapbooking page layouts, cards, and other traditional scrapbooking items. I am a Creative Memories Independent Advisor, and if you would like to purchase some items with me that you see in this video, those are also linked in the description box below. So let's get into this fun project. I actually went to the thrift store this time. So let's check out what I'm going to be doing. Here it is, my item I found at one of our thrift stores, not too far away from here. Cost me $1 for this first Christmas as Mr. and Mrs. wood block sign, I guess, if you will. We are going to turn it into a really cute picture frame instead of just having this, but we're going to work with, I'm actually not going to be painting. If you want to see painting, I'm sure some of the other crafters on the playlist will have painting for you. You can absolutely check out the playlist and see that. Mine, since I am a Creative Memories Independent Advisor, we are going to be working with paper and my Wide Open Places collection. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. But first, I actually have a sandpaper block. I want to work down this glitter just a little bit because I don't want it interfering with my picture that I'm going to be putting on here. First, I also have to take off the price sticker. That was easy. Didn't really look like it did anything. Oh, this is going to be fun to get off the sandpaper later. I don't know if it actually will come off. My edges are going to be glittered. I don't know. What do they say about glitter is just, well, this is why I work with paper, but it's okay. We are getting some glitter kind of everywhere, but I'll see what I can get to brush off and blow off in just a moment, but I'm going to continue just kind of working off this because it was a little bit raised with the glitter on it, and I want to add a picture to this, and I want it to be flat. I'm also going to put some paper on it first, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Let me continue sanding here. All right, that didn't take too long. Let me see what I can do about just brushing this off, trying to get the extra little bit of glitter off, and then I'm going to go wash my hands and I will be back with you all in a minute. You can see it's definitely much less shiny than what it was. I think I did take a little bit of the paint off too, but not too much, and it doesn't really matter because we're going to cover it up anyways. But let me find a brush, see what I can do about getting the rest of this off. Well, I could not find a brush. Go figure, since I wasn't prepared to paint anyways. So I actually just went and grabbed a damp paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe around the outside edges a little bit here, just taking off the excess sawdust and any extra glitter that went around the sides here, and then just wiping off the surface a little bit, making it a little bit smoother. I am also going to move my box and wipe my desk as well because I can see there's little bits of gold glitter all over. And that's not something I am used to having around. So let's hope I'm not finding glitter for months after this project, but you can see where, yeah, we definitely got a little bit of the sawdust. We got some of the glitter, and it was worth getting the wet paper towel for it. And then I also have just a dry one. I'm just gonna, it was just lightly damp, but I'm still gonna go ahead and blot things a little bit dry here as well. Make sure my desk is dry because we're getting ready to get the paper out. And then I also have my photo and a really fun embellishment we're going to be adding to this. Okay. Yep, still got some glitter. Go figure. I will be back with you all again in just a moment. All right, so I've pulled out my 12-inch trimmer, and I have a sheet of our blanket texture paper from our Wide Open Places texture paper pack. It has this just really interesting woven design on the back as well. But we're going to be using this side of the paper, and I am going to cut it at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. When I measured the picture frame earlier, it's essentially a 5 by 7 picture frame. So hang on, 6 3/4. So I want to make sure that my paper is going to be just inside of my photo frame. So let me put aside my trimmer, pull out our frame, and then I'm going to show you. This is going to go just inside, and you can still see, well, I'll show you closer probably when I get it stuck on, but there's going to be a little bit of that white kind of almost worn wood, frayed look wood to the actual holder here. I have pulled out also, let me set this aside, my photo tape because it tends to be a little bit stronger, and since we're actually sticking this onto wood, I want to make sure that it does stick rather than using one of our tape runners. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on here first. Just going across, I'm going to go ahead and use several strips of it. Oops, let me back this up a hair. There we go. Oops. So the holder actually does have a little metal tooth cutter. You can see it there to actually break the tape, kind of like the old-fashioned tape dispensers that we had back in the day where they always had the little teeth on them and they were always metal. Whereas now a lot of the times if you buy, the Scotch tape dispenser, they're plastic, like a lot of other things now, but this has metal teeth on it, which is very nice. Oops, I think I might have gone a little too far with that one. I may have to get my scissors out on that one. And then one more here. And then I think I want to go down the sides as well. And it really doesn't matter that this is, that these are a little bit crooked because nobody's going to see it. I'm going to grab my multi-purpose tool here, if I can actually get under here. Usually this is like the little perfect spatula tool. Uh-oh, I think I picked up the paper and not the actual tape. I did. All right, we'll work with it and see where we're at towards the end. If I need to, I'll probably wind up pushing it over a little bit before I put the actual paper on. So let me just pull off the tape part. I'm going to use my multi-purpose tool to help me with that because my tape is absolutely stuck down already onto this wood, which is, I'd say, a very good sign. And then I will hold this up so that way you all can see what this looks like. I do want to run 2 more strips down the side as well. I'm going to take this pointy end. Let me make sure I don't stick my finger in this. I'm taking my pointy end of my multi-purpose tool, and I'm just going to work this in just a little bit because I know when I measured my paper, I measured it kind of to the inside edge of the flat surface. This actual surface has like a little bit of a downward slope, a little bit of edge where it's flat on the inside and it slopes down a little bit more going to the edge, which is fine, but we need to work with it. So now let me just turn this real quick, and I'm going to add a little bit more of the photo tape going down. And now let's go ahead, and I'm just going to push down on the paper a minute to make sure my tape is down nice and tight. Grab my multi-purpose tool again to help me lift up the edge of the tape here. There we go. Oops, that's sticky stuff. my little multi-purpose tool got stuck on it for a second there. Here we go. Getting this last edge up. There we go. Okay, now we are ready to go ahead and add our piece of paper that we cut earlier. I'm just going to make sure I get it lined up. I'm not going to press down on it until I know I'm in place. Well, then again, it's a good thing I wound up pretty much in place, because as soon as it touched that photo tape, man, it was stuck. Sometimes you just have to roll with it. And at least it was good, nice and flat. You can see my measurements worked out nicely where I do have that little bit of an extra edge going around, and you can see the little tapering going down. When I sanded, I mostly focused my sanding on the flat part. And so now my paper is laying nice and flat on here. I have my photo I took recently of our Oregon mountains. And oh, that was something else I forgot to tell y'all. You're in New Mexico. You've made a stop on the Thrift Flip road trip. I am in New Mexico. Boy, do I miss having Kay from the Crafting Cousins here and near. But, you know, we're still hanging on. We're still here. And I hope you all enjoy this stop on the road trip. And then I want to show you, I also pulled out one of our laser cut mats. So we're going to add our photo. I am going to center it. I'm going to probably grab out my zero centering ruler just to make sure I do get my, in fact, it looks like I'm already a little bit off, but we're going to add this around on top. And then you can see how the blue from the paper shows up in the frame as well. But we also have this little bit of, it's about 1/8 of an inch extra coming down, and our block pretty much stands flat. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to address that as well in just a moment. But first things first, let's get some regular tape runner. No, let's use the photo tape on this one also. Why not? We already have it out. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and put a couple strips on our photo, because this is really going to help our photo stick well. There we go. Let's get these 3 on here. Okay, and now I'm going to grab my ruler real quick here, and just, because I do want the blue to show up nicely through here, but I actually want to just edge this. I want to make sure that the bottom of the frame is going to be flush with the edge of the bottom of the block here. So I need to see where I need to put my photo. Let me put this on here. Center looks like it's right through the middle of that design. Yeah. 2 5/8. That's about even here. Okay, so I want to have my photo essentially here. Whoops, now that I just moved the whole thing. So this is the middle here, actually going right along. Let me actually double check that. Let me not keep this on camera. And we're just gonna, because I know that's 2 5/8 on that one. It's zeros here. right through the peak. Okay. All right. So when I just checked my photo against the frame here, I noticed that the peak of one of the mountains is through the right side here, is right through the center of the frame. And now I just need to see how high I need to make sure to put this up just a little bit more. Since I'm using this to measure a little bit here, it can go up just a little bit higher. Whoops, of course. All right, let me measure this real quick. What is it that they say? Measure once or measure twice, cut once. Well, I'm going to measure. This is 1/4 of an inch, and usually I'm pretty good at eyeballing those things, but since this thing keeps on moving around, because it is basically kind of slick on top of the paper is smooth, so we have 2 smooth surfaces we're working with here. I'm just going to take off my top strip from my photo here. And so I need 1/4 of an inch down. So I'm going to use my ruler. I know my regulars that watch my channel are probably going to be shocked by this because I rarely measure anything. But with this one, because we want to do have the frame just right. This is 2.5 and 2.5. So my peak of my mountain is right there on the 0. Let me double check my 1/4 inch to make sure I'm right on the yes. Okay, right there is where it needs to be. Whew, okay. So now I can take off my other 2 strips, and we do have photo polishing cloths. So if you wind up getting too many fingerprints on your photo, you can definitely polish it up before adding your next piece here. If I can get this off, there we go. Trying to get the strips off from the back side of my photo here. There we go. All right, I love this paper, just really makes my photo pop. I loved the colors of the frame as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put my ruler away. I love the Creative Memories ruler because it has the 0 in the center. So it makes it easy to line up things like this and get it just right. Putting that aside, I've pulled out my Precision Point adhesive because that's what I'm going to be using to add to our frame, the backside here, to make sure it sticks on around our photo. So I've grabbed a piece of wax paper to put my little laser cut mat on. This is also with the Wide Open Places collection. I'm going to scoot aside my photo so that way I can center this a little bit better. So our Precision Point adhesive is essentially, it's a pen that has glue, liquid glue in it, but our glue comes out blue, so you know where it's going. And then it dries clear. So I'm just drawing a line along the inner line because I know that my outer part of my frame is going to stick off this block a little bit, which I think is just going to add to the fun here. Put this down, put the cap back on, and now scoot that over. I actually didn't even get any on the wax paper, but if I hadn't got the wax paper, I certainly would have gotten some on my table probably. So now let's add our frame. Remember, I'm going to line it up with the peak of the mountain with my little red dots on the frame because that's the center. And there we go. Okay. How's that? It really makes the photo pop, doesn't it? I love it. And you can see where it's just lined up nicely, centered nicely, and Really looks lovely. It's already starting to dry and hold on, so I can go ahead and pick it up already, and my frame's not going anywhere. However, we need to address the fact that we have this 1/8 of an inch from the bottom blocks coming off the bottom, so we can't actually set our frame down yet, or else either these are going to bend, or I don't know what would happen. So we have foam tape. And so here is what the packaging for it looks like. I am just going to go ahead, and when I measured it, it looks like it's almost exactly 1/8 of an inch. It's almost the exact same width as our little gap we have down here, which is not too shabby. So I'm going to run a couple pieces of this down the bottom part of our frame. I'm going to grab my microtip scissors because they can cut through sticky things all day, and they have a special coating on them, and they doesn't goop up my scissors at all. I think y'all have even seen me cut through Mod Podge with it. My scissors are still going strong. I'm still using the same pair. It's awesome. All right, let me pick this other one up. Hang on, I'm actually just going to cut the piece and then I'll put it on because I only have 2 hands, just like everybody else. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this before I place it because otherwise I just can't manage to do it all at once here. So this piece is going to go down on the bottom here. So essentially what I have are these 2 pieces of the foam tape running along the bottom of the frame. And I'm going to go ahead and test it out and see if I need to run a little bit more along the side, if it's wobbly or not. If not, well, you look at that. It's standing up just nicely. There's nothing happening with my frame. Worked out perfectly. Nothing's tipping. And we have our frame. I love it. Y'all will have to let me know how I did. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I do scrapbooking page layouts as well as cards, along with these other fun paper crafts and challenges from time to time. I do like to test my creativity and see what else I can come up with that might not be an ordinary way to use your scrapbooking paper or your mats, but here we go. Let me know what you think. Leave a thumbs up, add a comment, and I hope you all enjoyed seeing my little view of the Oregon mountains here. This was taken, I think, last summer when the sunflowers were going strong, and I loved that this wide open place, this paper pack, just really accented everything, and that you can actually see the paper through the little holes in the frame, and I think the white, accents it nicely as well. All right. That is it for this road trip. Until next time.